We've been telling young people, go to school, get educated, then you get a good job, you'll be empowered. But in most of our countries, the people who are living the best lives have no education. The people who are driving the best cars, no education. We have political cadres now occupying significant positions in government because they are loyal. Some of them are fantastically incompetent, but they are wonderful people. Unfortunately, wonderfulness does not cure the underdevelopment challenge. We have equated having things with being, so that those who have things are considered more human beings.
There's a new force of nature at hand, stirring all over the world. They are the young people whom, frankly, we have failed, who are angry, who are organized, who are capable of making a difference. They are a moral army. And the most important thing that we can do for them is to get the hell out of their way.
Sisi vile vile sio wote ambao wanataka ugomvi kwa sababu ya ugomvi.
Niwaambia nyinyi ni wajinga mkimpata Ruto. Mkadhani tunawadanganya.
Jeti ya Ruto. Hii maisha ya Ruto ni stress na ni stress.
Mungu wewe umetukosea.
Greetings to you. Thank you so much for making time to join us. This is Sound Candid Talk, Open Forum Political Discussion Show, the show that gives you an opportunity to air what you feel and think about the latest development on our political front. Well, a lot is happening in our country, and of great interest is the response of the church on the prevailing circumstances of goons and violence being exhibited in political rallies where the government attempts to frustrate the inroad or the support of the opposition groupings in terms of frustrating their meetings and their meet the people tours. And in the process, we're having a phenomenon that we had not seen for a while in our politics. And that is the resurgence of goons and hired young people to wreak havoc and, of course, endanger the lives of innocent Kenyans. Now, this is a subject that we will need to look at closely. And, of course, when the church begins to raise an alarm on the same, it is something that is getting out of hand. And we are left to wonder whether is it that William Ruto has a solution to this, or he feels that it is to his advantage when the country becomes ungovernable and the country, reaches a place whereby it's out of control. Somebody shared today and talked about could it be a strategy by the William Ruto administration to find an avenue of staying in power by ensuring that there will be no elections in 2027, since there is a clause in the constitution that gives the IEBC, the Electoral Commission of Kenya, to have powers to postpone an election indefinitely if they feel that the country is not in a good position for there to take a general election. Now, this is applicable for both by-elections as well as the general election. So in our speculation and checking out things, could it be a strategy, since it appears that William Ruto is trailing in terms of convincing the masses to believe him, and the united opposition and of course all the people opposed for William Ruto's re-election seem to be having a good support from the hearts of hearts, and that, in my opinion, could be sending shivers in the State House, and therefore government being full of options and full of, ventilation. It could be that the only option left for them in order for them to stay in power is to ensure that there will be no elections in 2027. And one way to get that done is to make the country ungovernable, ensure that insecurity becomes the order of the day. And then, of course, there can be that feared call for state of emergency, which gives the government that is in power to continue being in power. And of course, destabilizing the country is part of the games that our politicians may be willing to play to whatever extent, to whatever end that they may wish to get to. So is this it, or what is it? I invite your input even as we start the conversation. Please karibisha mtu tumakinike pamoja tunapoanza mchakato wetu, na kuomba tu kama unatupata tuambie unatupata ukiwa sehemu gani hapo kwa comment section. Tutaambatana unyo mpaka dakika ya mwisho tukichambua masuala haya ipasavyo. Kwa wale ambao mnataka kujiunga nami katika studio, unaweza kufanya hivyo kupitia YouTube ama Facebook. Tuko live YouTube, Sound Candy Talk live, and Sound Candy Talk on YouTube channel, as well as Sound Candy Talk Facebook page. You can be able to get us, and then of course my TikTok family. Thank you so much for being here always, and of course following through our shows. I want to salute everyone that is supporting us, and of course ensuring that we are here to air our views on the matters arising as far as our politics are concerned. So what is your take about what is going on in our country, especially on the issues of the politics at play, and of course the newly resurgent of goons and violence in our politics? Is this how things should be done, or is this by design, or is it by default? I would want to hear what you feel about the whole scenario, even as we proceed with this particular conversation. So tuanze na hiyo video ya watu wa kanisa wanasema hii mambo ya goons na violence imeanza mapema, na isiposhughulikiwa basi kutakuwa na shida. Let's just hear this out and then get back to analyze what is cooking in our country at this point in time. Welcome on board. Please karibisha mtu tumakinike pamoja.
A section of religious leaders have raised the alarm over what they describe as a troubling rise in political intolerance and hooliganism, warning that the trend could push the country into instability.
The clerics expressed concern over the resurgence of goons witnessed in recent days, cautioning that the escalating unrest, if left unchecked, risks plunging the nation into chaos or even civil conflict.
That's right. Now, the leaders urged politicians to refrain from exploiting young people to perpetrate violence. Our very own Citizen TV's Ben Kirui starts the broadcast.
It is now increasingly becoming routine, with incidents reported day in, day out, the use of organized groups of youth to instigate violence during political engagements, raising a concern in the country. The latest case was witnessed on Saturday in Kikuyu constituency. Religious leaders have now raised alarm over what they describe as a worrying rise in political intolerance and hooliganism, warning that it could plunge the country into chaos.
We are gravely concerned that the mushrooming culture of goonism is really undermining the integrity of our leadership in this country. We want to ask our political leaders, whether elected or appointed, serving in government or outside of government, to recognize that responsible citizenship requires conformity to the laws of Kenya.
We really would like to condemn in very strong terms is the culture of violence that we are seeing in our politics. We are a church and we advocate for peace. We do not like to see the political violence, whether verbal violence, whether physical violence, whether violence in the social media.
The leaders cautioned that the use of hired goons not only endangers lives, but also risk dragging the nation into anarchy.
Na mambo ambayo inafanyika ya goonism inaelekeza nchi mahali ambapo ni pa kuhatarisha, na ningeomba ya kwamba kwa sababu tuko na idara ambazo zinafaa kushughulikia hayo masuala ya usalama waweze kufanya kazi yao.
Kiongozi ambaye amechaguliwa amekwenda kuvamiwa, akapigwa na watu ambao bila shaka watu kama wale hawakulala tu kuamka kusema eti tunaenda kumvamia mtu fulani. Ni mipango ambayo ilikuwa imewekwa.
They further noted that such actions are fueling a culture of lawlessness and steadily eroding the moral fabric of society.
This is a very dangerous kind of precedence that is being set. Now, divine mercy, therefore, calls for accountability and restraint, both from the opposition and from government.
Meanwhile, Kikuyu Member of Parliament Kimani Ichung'wah condemned the violence witnessed on Saturday in his constituency. The majority leader in the National Assembly says the violence witnessed is organized and deliberate, further noting that it is not random chaos, claiming they bear hallmarks of the same kind of attacks during protests 2 years ago and last year June. Ichung'wah claims that DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua spent the last week setting the stage for the violence and has been working hard to try to shift the blame. In his statement, Ichung'wah said, and I quote, "To those Gachagua is using to orchestrate this violence under the illusion of political protection, you have crossed a dangerous line. You are not just fighting political battles, you are endangering lives and undermining our democracy, and you are nothing but criminals who should and must be dealt with as criminals." End quote. He now wants the IG to immediately commence investigations on all those involved in the Kikuyu chaos. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
A section of religious leaders have raised...
Okay, there you have it, the voice of the church on the uprising of violence in our political campaign. And a few issues rise from that particular conversation. One is the church fears that if this is not addressed and arrested in good time, it may, escalate into uncontrollable volumes that may plunge the country into chaos. There is a reason for that fear, because usually unlawful groupings and gangs and what we are now everybody referring to as goons are usually very volatile in terms of there is no command center, or every group has its own command center, but those command centers don't have a unifying place. And so when they mushroom and grow or outgrow their command center, they gain their own life. When that happens, what we end up having is where now the government gets on the defensive when it comes to demands that are being placed by these unlawful groupings. And so I believe there is wisdom in what the church is saying, and all the concerned parties need to take this warning seriously. The Ministry of Internal Security, headed by Murkomen and PS Raymond, something serious and drastic needs to take place before what we are playing with gets out of hand. I don't see the current administration having a capacity to call off any uprising at this point in time, especially when the government is becoming unpopular with every passing day and Kenyans disappointed by how the government is performing. There is I would say very little support for the government from the majority of the parts of this country. And so when in such a scenario there is a revolt and there is a resistant movement against the government, it will be very difficult for them to arrest the situation. And so we would advise as church, let us heed to the warnings. Let's heed to the warnings. This deafening of our ear and hardening of our hearts on several innumerable warnings is only laying a bed that we may not be ready to lie on, especially when things get out of hand. So let there be a serious approach. With that in view, the response of the internal security headed by Murkomen and PS, their speech and their response to this situation is not impressing at all. In my opinion, it is not impressing at all. They look lost, they look confused, they look helpless, and that's not how a government should look when it comes to a resurgent of unlawful groupings. The government needs to have some form of order, number one, and then number two, it needs to appear to be on top of the situation, not this already beaten attitude that we are being treated to by Murkomen and team. I mean, they are looking already defeated and helpless, and instead of them now stepping in to arrest the situation, they are now apportioning blame, and that is the surest way to be defeated. And so you can't show, the forces that are rising up, or rather uprising against an administration by displaying how weak you are, how confused you are, and how helpless you are. And it goes without saying that Murkomen and team seem to be so much conscious about the politics than the provision of security and the securing of the country. And that is where we lose everything. In my opinion, Murkomen is doing more politics than he's doing administration, than he's doing provision of security, and that is the wrong number. It appears that he was given that docket to arrange on how maybe the provincial administration and of course everything that falls under that docket to be useful in terms of helping the 2027 election. Now that, in my opinion, is overstepping the mandate, number one, and number two is abuse of office, because when you made the Minister for Internal Security, your priority should be the safety of each and every Kenyan. But see the way they are responding to, nasty experiences like the attack on Osoti. They are trivializing a very serious matter, and they are downplaying it. And then, of course, Murkomen talks about he wants the opposition leaders to own up that they have goons. I've never felt insulted like when I heard Murkomen talking about that. If goons are unlawful in the country and you are the Minister for Internal Security and you know that the politicians in the opposition have goons, then they are participating in an illegality. You, as the Minister for Internal Security, you need to sanction and arrest the lawbreakers, not to come and complain to us on TV that even the opposition leaders are the ones funding goons to disrupt the peace and disrupt the safety of Kenyans. And so the jokes of Murkomen and PS Raymond is being taken too far. It's being taken too far. And from where I sit, we are in a bad place as a country by securing a position, sensitive position like Ministry of Internal Security to jokers like Murkomen, and of course the arrest of that particular docket by the politics of the day, whereby instead of them setting up systems and formulating policies that will secure every Kenyan, they are using that office to do politics. And that, to me, is very disappointing. It's very disappointing. And so as Kenyans, we need to watch out. We need to watch out. And of course, I think we will also need to revert to what worked very well, I think, partly in the Kibaki administration, as well as Uhuru administration, and that is what was referred to as community policing. Okay, community policing, because these people who we are referring to as goons, the people that are breaching the peace and of course instigating violence on the masses and of course opponent in political persuasion, are our brothers. There are our fathers, they are our uncles, they are among us. And so if we don't bring in this aspect of community policing and ensuring that every community and every section of the country is able to keep tabs on the security situation in their neighborhood, we will lose this game. We will lose this particular important service to the majority of the Kenyan people, to a very careless, stupid approach whereby we want to control everything from a Vigilant House or from Harambee Avenue when things are falling apart in our various parts of the country. And so community policing, I think, is something that we need to revive and make it workable. Make it workable, because that's the dilemma that we are in as a country. Because looking at the 2010 constitution, it one of the reasons why there was a demand for devolution, and devolution was meant to ease the burden at the national government, and of course that includes security. Why the national government is fearful about devolving security remains a dilemma to me, because if every county took charge of their security in terms of day-to-day security matters, I am sure that we will be able to safeguard the country better, other than waiting for the headquarters of the police and the headquarters of that to take care of the security of the place. And there are videos going around, especially in Kisumu, Haswa. We have been given several complaints about the number of goons and their groupings and their political persuasion that have become now the owners of a particular parts of the county, and that there are groupings that should not cross this line and go this other side, and other groupings cross this line and go to the other side. In my opinion, that need not to be the case. And so, Professor Nyang', you have been exemplary in terms of understanding devolution, and then, of course, you have championed a lot in terms of putting Kisumu City on the map as the cleanest city and, of course, most progressive city. And now it appears that your 10 years in office are being, flushed down the drain by your failure to look into this goons and insecurity situation in your county. And so I think we need to have a debate on this in terms of how can counties come in and ensure that there is security locally. Security locally. Here in Nairobi, where we stay, we have what we call the inspectorate department of the city county. And all they are known for is terrorizing hawkers and terrorizing business people in Nairobi. That is not what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to ensure that there's law and order, and the businesses that have been licensed by the county are functioning within the premise of their safety and are profitable. And so the city inspectorate has turned into another goon factor that is more it's more of a security issue than it is for providing security. And so we need to redefine the aspect of counties taking charge of their security. I mean, the national government should be there to come and assist where the security situation is running out of hand. But I don't feel okay when the entire security apparatus and security provision is left for national government when we have county government. The best people to provide security for every county is the county administration, and not waiting for the national government to bring security in your county. And so I think in the future, we need to come up with modalities of balancing this so that people are responsible for their security. Like education, okay? The national government is still holding so much on the matter education. They have only devolved, I think, early child development to counties. And that to me is still, making the 2010 constitution not to function in its robust capability that it was intended by the drafters of the constitution. In my opinion, it will be much better for counties to take charge of education, the counties to take charge of healthcare, and the counties to take charge of security. And then, of course, food security. Now, if these four functions are devolved and there is the money for the same, will be more safer and secure, because no governor would want to have his country known, his county known for insecurity. But now that I am a governor, but security belongs to the national government, I will always have an excuse that is not in my docket. Like the games we are being treated to in the name of roads, okay? The roads passing in this county have potholes. And then you will always have an excuse and say, oh, those are not county roads, those are national government roads. And so we end up, affecting the economic viability of our counties. The inter-county trade is affected, and all of it is, these roads are not county roads, these are national government roads. We can't continue like this. And so as a people, I think we must wake up and do what is necessary. And of course, if counties take charge of security, especially in ensuring that everything that is taking place within the county is within the privy of the governor and the security wherever apparatus within the county, I am sure that it will be easier to arrest the situation that way than when we wait until things get out of hand and then come up with nasty suggestions like what Atuol is talking about, banning political party rallies because the country is not stable. No, we must be able to take charge of the situation and be able to provide leadership. This aspect of making one step forward and 3 steps backward need to be stopped. And so people like Atuoli and those who think that we cannot have a free Kenya where Kenyans are free to interact, free to associate, and free to express themselves, but still the law takes charge and government functions rightly, that backward thinking of all can be arrested from any leadership. So I would an election. President and all the people in this document are not embracing of the Ruto administration. When he goes on vehicles and talks about the police should shoot people in the leg and things like that, it goes without saying that the monumental incompetence in running the affairs of this country in a post 2010 constitution dispensation is a scary reality. And so our quest for better leadership and better people in the position of leadership cannot be quenched by the mediocrity we are being treated to. And so I would wish to hear what you feel about what we are saying, but I side with the church people when they are saying this is getting out of hand and the concerned parties needs to step up and to provide required leadership. And of course, Undumani was here yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, those who are following the show, the link to use to get in the studio is already in the comment section. You click on it, allow EV Max to configure for you the audio and the camera, and you'll be in this space for us to speak. Unfortunately, I can't access my WhatsApp, and so don't wait for the link on WhatsApp. Find it in the comment section either on YouTube or Facebook and join the show from where you are. But I want to emphasize here that our 2020 constitution has a framework of having a free country with all liberties and all rights, but still the government should be in charge. How a government feels out of, threatened by the freedoms of the people and the liberties of the people is what beats my understanding. And then, of course, why would you ask for a job to be a leader of a country when you know clearly what the constitution stipulates and how you need to relate to the Kenyan people in their freedoms that are protected by the constitution? If you can't, lead a country like that, then get out of office. You don't have to be the president of this country. You don't have to be the governor. You don't have to be the Senate. But this aspect of you getting in office and then you use, majority of your time to try and curtail the constitution, overturn the laws here and make amendments to suit your limited understanding and want to box Kenyans into that box, that's too backward. We don't need that. And so rise up and do what you're required to do in ensuring that the freedoms of Kenyans are not frustrated, the freedoms of Kenyans are not curtailed, but the country is functioning within the boundaries of constitutional provision, and nothing is left to chance. And so I still insist, let there be a proper way of addressing these issues that are arising at this point in time. Story ya kulaumiana haifai, haswa kutoka kwa serikali. Ati serikali inalaumu opposition kwa sababu kuna goons. Na haya masuala ya goons tunayaelewa kabisa, tunayaelewa vile yalivyoanza. Mnakumbuka ile ilikuwa demos za Gen Z, okay? Hao wamekuja kutetea haki yao kikatiba na wanatumia njia ya kikatiba ya kutoa malalamiko yao. Lakini kipi kilichoendelea hapa Nairobi haswa? Kukawa sasa inasemekana governor wa Nairobi na wanasiasa wengine wakaenda kulipa nini? Hawa goons wakuje kuchapa hawa ambao wanaandamana. So hapo ndio tunaanza kukosea, okay? Hapo ndio tunaanza kukosea. Huku watu wako katika masuala ambayo ni ya kikatiba, wanafuata katiba katika kusema kwamba mambo haendi vile yanapaswa kuenda. Lakini wewe kama serikali, wewe kama mtetezi, mtu ambaye unapaswa kuwa unatetea na kusimamia katiba, wewe ndio unavunja katiba kwa kwenda kufanya nini? Kuwalipa wale ambao wanataka kuhujumu haki ya hawa ambao wana haki ya kuandamana. Na hapo ndipo tunakosea kama serikali, na lazima kila mmoja wetu aangalie haya masuala jinsi yalivyo. Mara nyingi nashangaa sana na watu wengi haswa kwa social media. Mtu anaamua kutetea maovu na sababu anayopeana, na anapeana sababu ya kikabila, okay? Kwa mfano kuna wao ambao wameanza kusema kwamba watu wa mlima ama watu wa Mount Kenya hao wamekuwa katika uongozi kwa muda mrefu, hawapendi kabila lingine kukua katika uongozi, ndiposa wanasema one term. Now hiyo ni kwangu mimi ni kijisababu ambacho kinaudhi, okay? Mahali nimekaa kinaudhi sana, na ni mojawapo ya vitu ambavyo vinafanya kana kwamba kama vile kumekucha maisini huwa anasema inaonekana wengi wa Kenya wamesoma kabisa mpaka wakawa wajinga. Hakuna vile unaweza excuse masuala ambayo yanafanyika katika nchi hii kwa sababu ya kikabila, okay? Eti William Ruto ana distribute mali ya Kenya vizuri ikienda katika sehemu zingine, na wale ambao waliomtangulia walikuwa wanajenga sehemu yao wakiacha kwingine. Kunaweza kuwa na ukweli hapo, lakini haki hapa ni kwamba kama ni serikali inapaswa kuwa serikali ya Wakenya wote, na inapaswa kuwa inalinda usalama na maslahi ya kila Mkenya, ili kusiwe na sehemu yoyote ambayo inasemekana kwamba haiko kwa serikali ama haiungi mkono serikali, kwa sababu serikali ni ya Kenya. Serikali si ya Wajaluo, serikali si ya Wakikuyu, serikali si ya Waluya, serikali ni ya Kenya, na kila Mkenya ana haki kutetewa na hiyo serikali na kuhudumiwa na hiyo serikali. So hii dhana ya kusema kwamba kabila letu likiwa kwa uongozi tutafanikiwa, sioni sababu yake, okay? Mimi ni mhubiri, nimetembea nchi hii. Umaskini uko Central Kenya, umaskini uko Baringo, umaskini uko hata sitaki kutaja, okay? Tumekuwa hapa katika hiki kipindi kuna mara mbili tumekusanya hela kupeleka chakula cha msaada wapi? Marsabit, okay? Umaskini uko sehemu yote, haswa wale ambao wamekuwa kwa power, okay? Wapi watu wanakufa njaa, wapi watu wanasoma chini ya mti. Kuna hiyo feature ilipeana kule Baringo, okay? Baringo si ni kwa Moi, okay? Kule Moi amekuwa kiongozi miaka yote, amekuwa president 24 years, lakini uko watoto bado wanasoma chini ya miti, uko bado watu wanakufa njaa, wanakula mizizi na hiyo mambo mengine. So ili swala la kusema kwamba mtu wetu akiwa kwa uongozi tutafanikiwa haifai kabisa. Hiyo ni mojawapo ya mambo ambayo yanachangia kuendelea kwa nchi hii. Lazima tubadilishe jinsi tunavyofikiria, na hii ni kusema kwamba ofisi ya kitaifa lazima iwe ya kitaifa. Tusibadilishe ofisi ya kitaifa ikawa ofisi ya kikabila. Okay? Wewe ukitaka kuwa kiongozi wa kabila lenu, ndiposa devolution ipo. Okay? Devolution ipo, na moja ya ya uwezekano wa devolution ni kwamba kuna sehemu ambayo inaitwa sehemu ya county kwa mfano, ambayo inaweza kuwa hiyo county imeshika sehemu ya kabila moja ama makabila mawili peke yake. So hapo unaweza kuwa kiongozi wa kabila wapi? Huko kwa county. Lakini ikifika kwa national office, hiyo ni ofisi ya Kenya nzima. National office ni ofisi ya Kenya nzima. President ni president wa Kenya nzima. Ukiwa waziri, wewe ni waziri wa Kenya nzima. Ukiwa ni PS ama CS, wewe ni CS wa Kenya nzima, kama wewe ni CS wa national government. So ili swala la kusema fulani akichaguliwa kuwa PS wa energy, basi sisi Wajaluo tuko kwa serikali, sisi Wajaluo mshahara wa ndai au peani kwa Wajaluo. Hata ukiangalia kwa payslip ya Wandai ni jina lake na inafaidi yeye, mke wake na watoto wake, haifaidi jamii nzima. So tutoke katika hii dhana ya kufikiria kwamba fulani akiwa rais basi sisi tumepona, ama fulani akiwa, yule mtu anafaa kuwa rais ni yule anaye uwezo wa kufanya nini? Kulisha Wakenya wote. Inasemekana wale ambao ni wanafunzi wa historia kwamba kabla ya kupeana uhuru kutokana na serikali ya ukoloni, kuna challenge ambayo Jomo Kenyatta alipewa na wazungu. Akapewa, ilikuwa glass ama sahani ya asali, na kulikuwa na umati wa watu. So akasema prove kwamba wewe umetosha kuwa rais kwa kulisha hawa watu wote kwa hii sahani moja ya asali ama bakuli ya asali. Na inasemekana sikuwepo, naambiwa tu inasemekana kuna hiyo whisky, ile mkia ni wa ng'ombe sijua nini, ambao alikuwa anatumia harambee. So inasemekana prove hiyo challenge, aliweka hayo manyoa ya huo mkia kwa hiyo asali, alafu akafanya nini? Akamiminia watu moja baada ya mwingine. Now he proved he can feed the country from one plate. That is what I am talking about. The best leader, the best president for this country is the one who is able to feed all Kenyans from one plate, not the one who is feeding his community and starving the rest of Kenyans, not the one who is giving jobs to his community and starving the rest of Kenyans. We need a leader who is able, even if he's given one plate, is able to ensure that each and every section of this country gets their equal measure from what is available. And what is less, he must have the capacity to multiply it. Kama vile Yesu alijumlisha nini mikate mitano na samaki watatu ama wawili, akulisha wengi wa umati. Now hiyo ndio sababu ya kuwa kiongozi. Lakini ukiwa kiongozi, wewe kazi yako ni kulaumu, kazi yako ni kuteta, kazi yako ni kutusi wengine, kazi yako ni kugandamiza wengine, inaonyesha wazi kwamba hii kazi imekuzidi na hata ufai kuitwa kiongozi wa nchi, kwa sababu kiongozi wa nchi ni mtu ambaye anabeba kila Mkenya kwa moyo wake, kwa mabega yake kila wakati. na wakati anafanya uamuzi, huo uamuzi haufanywi kwa kunufaisha yeye ama kunufaisha jamii yake. Ni kuhakikisha kwamba Kenya nzima watoto wote wanaenda shule, hospitali ziko na madawa, na Wakenya wote wana access kwa health care. Huo ndio uongozi tunatafuta, sio uongozi wa kwenda kukata deals na kwenda kufanya nini, kulinda ufisadi na kutetea mambo ambayo hayafai. Ningependa kuwashukuru wote tunapoendelea na mchakato huu. Naomba tu kukumbusha, tunaangazia hili swala la watu wa kanisa kusema hii mwenendo ambao umechacha wa kutumia genge la wahalifu kwa mikutano ya kisiasa ni swala ambalo linatisha usalama wa wengi wa Kenya, na serikali inapaswa kutekeleza wajibu wake ipasavyo. Naomba tuchikumbushe katika hiyo tunapo rejea tena kuangazia masuala haya kwa kina. Asante.
Let's begin with the top story of the afternoon so far. Religious leaders drawn from Christian and Muslim communities have raised concerns over what they described as a worrying rise in political intolerance and hooliganism, which they warn could plunge the country into chaos. The leaders spoke as cases of goons and political intolerance, as witnessed in Kikuyu constituency on Saturday and other parts of the country, raises questions over the country's security preparedness ahead of the 2027 general election. And as Stephen Leto reports, Kikuyu lawmaker Kimani Ichung'wah now wants the Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja to ensure that all those involved are arrested and charged in a court of law.
The religious leaders expressed concerns over the growing use of organized groups of youths to instigate violence during political engagements, as witnessed Saturday in Kikuyu constituency. Led by Imam Rashid Salim and Bishop John Gishuri, the leaders warned that the use of goons not only endangers lives but also risks dragging the country into anarchy.
Viongozi wengi hawana huruma ndani yao. Hawahurumii vijana wetu ama watoto wetu. Hawahurumii watu wetu wa Kenya ama watu wa dini. Na kwa sababu wanatumia watu wa kidini vibaya.
They pointed out that such actions contribute to a culture of lawlessness and erode the moral fabric of society.
Kiongozi ambaye amechaguliwa amekwenda kuvamiwa, akapigwa na watu ambao bila shaka watu kama wale hawakulala tu kuamka kusema eti tunaenda kumvamia mtu fulani. Ni mipango ambayo ilikuwa imewekwa, ni utaratibu ambao ulikuwa umewekwa.
Ile mwito niko nao kwa vijana wetu ni kutotumika vibaya. Wakati unapewa pesa ili ukaue mwenzako, hata wewe pesa inaweza peanwa kwako ili na wewe ukauliwe. So ile kitu unaweza fanya mwenzako hata yeye anaweza kufanyikia. So leta tukuje pamoja, tusikize na tushikane pamoja.
The religious leaders unveiled an organization whose aim is to promote peace, unity and responsible leadership as the country prepares for the 2027 general election. Meanwhile, Kikuyu Member of Parliament Kimani Ichung'wah condemned the violence witnessed yesterday in his constituency. The majority leader in the National Assembly says the violence witnessed is organized and deliberate. He further notes that it is not random chaos, claiming they bear hallmarks of the same kind of attacks during protests 2 years ago and last year June. Ichung'wah claims that DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua spent the last week setting the stage for the violence and has been working hard to try to shift the blame. In his statement, Ichung'wah said, quote, "To those Gachagua is using to orchestrate this violence under the illusion of political protection, you have crossed a dangerous line. You are not just fighting political battles, you are endangering lives and undermining our democracy. And you are nothing but criminals who should and must be dealt with as criminals." End quote. He now wants the Inspector General of Police to immediately commence investigations on all those involved in the Kikuyu chaos. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
Now, President William Ruto.
Okay, there you have it. Clerics from all faiths are not in support of what is happening in the political space by the use of goons and other means to frustrate the political or other dissenting voices in terms of their support or their standing against the current administration. I would want to lift something into what Ichung'wah raised there. And he is the majority leader. He is in UDA. And he is the government, or he is in government. Now, him turning the heat on Gachagua, who is an impeached former deputy president, and claiming that he's the one who planned for the goons and of course sponsored the violence in Kikuyu, it leaves me disappointed, to say the least. And then number two, him being the member of parliament for Kikuyu and being close to the president and being the majority leader, I'm sure he has also access to intelligence. Why would he wait until Gachagua goes for his meeting in Kikuyu and then there is violence, and then he comes to say that Gachagua was planning for those violence and sponsored those violence in Kikuyu? Now, Ichung'wah is known for running his mouth, and of course coming up with outrageous claims like this one. But what are we looking for as a country? What do we need as a country? Do we need these empty talkers, or we need really leaders who are able to shoulder the responsibility of the safety of the Kenyan people? Because listening to Ichung'wah and his claims, it is not different from what he went to Kitale and talked about Natembeya having facilitated the deaths of Kenyans and throwing them in River Yala. I mean, if something like that happened and you have that information, why in the first place would you be talking to the public about it? Why haven't you engaged the security apparatus to ensure that whatever violence that is planned or whatever commotions that are planned are aborted? And so listening to all this, it just shows the same old games, where the same politicians who are planning the violence, who are in, fueling and sponsoring the violence, are the ones coming back and turning to the camera and blaming another person. And I think we are past this. We are past this as a country. We deserve better. Kenya deserves better. And so I would call us to really think deeply when it comes to who we elect in office. We cannot overemphasize this. We will never get this country from where it is to where it ought to go with this kind of minds like that of Ichung'wah, like what Murkomen is telling us, like what William Ruto is telling us, talking tough, doing nothing, threatening instead of acting decisively and ensure that systems are working. And so if Gachagua planned for the violence, executed the violence, what does the law stipulate? Why is he still walking free? Why hasn't he been arrested? And so I think the blame game is just too much, and we cannot continue like this. And so in my opinion, we must step up as a country, we must step up as Kenyans, and let us get rid of incompetent people in the position of leadership. Leadership does not belong to everybody. Yes, it does not belong to everybody. Yes, anybody can be a leader, but proper leadership does not belong to everybody. There has to be some level of qualification, some level of demands that are placed on people who are seeking public office. This aspect of opening a floodgate for everybody to ascend to leadership anyhow, by any means, is our unmaking as a country. And I will not stop at saying this, because we will not have everybody in leadership and expect anything better to come from that leadership. If we are not choosy when it comes who becomes president, who becomes deputy president, who becomes governor, who becomes member of parliament, who becomes member of county assembly, who becomes senate, if we are not keen and choosy about it, we will never get excellence from the same. And so Ichung'wah is disappointing and embarrassing, to say the least, that he has information on how goons are arranged, how goons are hired, how goons are disrupting peace, but he would rather post it on Twitter than share the information with the relevant authorities to arrest the situation. I think Kenyans are on their own. Kenyans are on their own. Nobody is fighting for them, and nobody, is standing up for them. It is a sad reality, but that is what it is. So let us wake up and do the necessary. Let 2027 mark the end of electing incompetent people, and of course people who cannot do what they are required to do. Well, I want to thank that particular praiser that involved the Muslim clerics, Christians and all that, in condemning the matter. And then, of course, coming forcefully to condemn what happened to Osotsi, the senator for Vihiga, being attacked in Kisumu. This is alarming, one, and two, is embarrassing. And of course, those that are behind that should be brought to book. And of course, the goons, okay, that have been arrested. This is a time ya kusaliti wale ambao waliowatuma. Wakati umefika sasa ufanyeni waanike, kwa sababu saa hiyo ndio uko ndani, hao wanalala nyumbani, wako na wake zao na watoto wao. Wewe ambaye ulitumwa kumpiga nani? Osotsi. Wewe ndio uko kwa baridi saa hii, wewe ndio unalala kwa simiti saa hii. Kwa hivyo lazima ufikirie kwa kina kwa mambo haya. Usikubali kutumiwa vibaya, na usikubali kwenda kumshambulia mtu ambaye mtu wako innocent. Wewe kwa sababu umepewa 100 ama umepewa 1000, unaenda kumshambulia mtu ambaye hafai kushambuliwa. So matokeo ni yapi? Unalala kwa simiti, yeye ako kwa mattress. Unalala sakafuni, yeye ako kwa kitanda chake. Kwa hivyo fikiria kama kijana, fikiria mambo unayofanya yana nini consequences. Hayo mambo unayofanya yako na consequences, na epukana na kitu chochote ambacho kitakuweka katika vitabu vibaya, kwa sababu una maisha mbele yako ambayo yanafaa wewe kuwa na jina bora. Biblia inasema a good name is better than riches, is to be desired than rubies. Jina safi ni jina nasema ni faida, okay? Ni kitu cha dhamani kuliko rubies, hela. Na ili ni mojawapo ya mambo ambayo tunaona katika kizazi hii linaendelea kudidimia, okay? A good name is no longer praised nowadays. It's no longer treasured nowadays. It's no longer valued these days, because we have glorified shortcuts. We have glorified corruption. We have glorified taking advantage of others. And that glorification has brought up a generation that doesn't care about the livelihood of other people, the welfare of other people. Everybody's looking on how they can take advantage of whatever situation and, amass wealth for themselves. That's not how to build a society. That's not how to govern a nation. And so I would want to appreciate those religious clerics for coming forth and speaking up against the violence that is uprising right now. But for the government, we continue to warn you. You can listen, utapona. If you don't listen, you will suffer the consequences. Ukweli ni kwamba the apparatus of violence and of course the monopoly of violence lies with the government. And so we as Kenyans need to have that understanding and bring this government to a place of accountability, to a place of functioning as a government and not as an enterprise where people go to cut deals and of course forget the country, forget the people, and forget the welfare of the majority of Kenyans. It is sad that we are having an administration that would rather cut deals than safeguard the healthcare of the people, healthcare of the people, welfare of the people, and safety of the people. It's very, very, very sad that a whole government will just talk about, like for example, just lest you forget, okay? It's hardly 3 weeks or a month when the floods carried over 60 people, or was it over 30 people in Nairobi, and are dead. And how do we treat it? It's as if nothing took place. It's as if nothing took place. And so this our numbness, this our getting used to losing lives carelessly and letting leaders go scot-free is our making as a people. And so time comes when we must step up and begin to recover our country. And one way of recovering our country is demanding high standards and greater expectation from the people in position of power. Nobody should be in power giving us excuses and of course offering us blame games. Be in that office because you can function, and function rightly in that office in the interests of the majority of Kenyans. Not you want to fly around and parade on the street with the Kenyan flag and of course the fleet of vehicles demonstrating that you are a governor, but zero governance, zero mitigation of things like floods, things like outbreaks. Now after the floods, there will be outbreaks of cholera, outbreaks of all manner of things. These people are still sitting in the office now to declare cholera a national disaster. It's evil. I mean, who does that? And so we live from crisis to crisis, from trouble to trouble, from one calamity to another. All of it, and we are drawing a salary. We are displaying all manner of affluence, roaming around with choppers, roaming around with guzzlers in the name of your governor. Who are you governing? So after the floods, you say mosquito have come. Now there is an outbreak of malaria. There is an outbreak of this and this. We can't continue like this as a country. And so let's wake up and do the necessary. And those of you going to the ballot to vote for people like Sakaja, who are running down the city, you are talking of 2 terms. Something is wrong with you. So let's weed out every, incompetent leaders and get competent leaders that are able to champion this country and help it move forward. I really want to appreciate every one of you as we continue with the conversation. We're about to land, and it's like our friends have not gotten the link, or they are not able to access the link since I'm not able to access my WhatsApp. But in the meantime, I just want to, play this video, even as we, continue to conclude our conversation. But mambo mengine yanaudhi sana. Let's hear this as we continue.
Ingine watoto wakidanganywa kila wakati huwa wanaanza kumdharau baba wetu wa taifa. Wakati mwingine kuongea bila hatua dhabiti ni kama kukejeli wanaokuamini. Baba wa taifa, umeyasema mengi kuhusu ufisadi. Miaka inakaribia 4 sasa, lakini bado hali ni tete. Kuna msemo huko kwetu ambao unasema ngoma inayopigwa kwa sauti sana haina maana, ila ule mfumko wa kucheza ndio una maana zaidi. Inaonekana kwamba kazi hii ya kupigana na ufisadi inafaa kuacha kuwa katika majukwaa. Inafaa sasa kuelekezwa mahali ambapo panafaa. Tekeleza mzee wetu. Tuanze na hili la sasa, sakata la mafuta. Mzigo wa mafuta wenye thamani ya mabilioni ya shilingi ukiibua maswali kuhusu ubora wake. Rais, hao waliohusika tutaona jambo tofauti au itakuwa ni sarakasi za kawaida mzee? Tumeona wafanyakazi wengine, watoto wakidanganywa kila wakati huwa wanaanza kumdharau baba wetu wa taifa. Wakati mwingine kuongea bila hatua dhabiti ni kama kukejeli wanaokuamini. Baba wa taifa, umeyasema mengi kuhusu ufisadi. Miaka inakaribia 4 sasa, lakini bado hali ni tete. Kuna msemo huko kwetu ambao unasema ngoma inayopigwa kwa sauti sana haina maana, ila ule mfumko wa kucheza ndio una maana zaidi. Inaonekana kwamba kazi hii ya kupigana na ufisadi inafaa kuacha kuwa katika majukwaa. Inafaa sasa kuelekezwa mahali ambapo panafaa. Tekeleza mzee wetu. Tuanze na hili la sasa, sakata la mafuta. Mzigo wa mafuta wenye thamani ya mabilioni ya shilingi ukiibua maswali kuhusu ubora wake. Rais, hao waliohusika tutaona jambo tofauti au itakuwa ni sarakasi za kawaida mzee? Tumeona wafanyakazi wengine, watoto wakidanganywa kila wakati huwa wanaanza kumdharau baba wetu wa taifa. Wakati mwingine
Okay, there you have it. Shoka la KTN wakileta hiyo anko ya kuangazia masuala ya rais, haswa in the backdrop of demands that the president should be respected and the president should be addressed respectfully. And there I support the notion in terms of nailing or hitting a nail on the head, whereby what will make or break William Ruto, I could say, is his empty promises. Rhetorics that are not backed up by substance, rhetorics that are not backed up by right action. And it appears that the systems of government that and systems of governance that really make government operation predictable, firm and able to deliver are missing everywhere in the Ruto administration. And this does not sit well because a government needs to be government. And what makes government government is in its ability to be able to have foresight and be able to deal with whatever will arise in the nick of time before that matter arises. Like we talked about the floods in Nairobi and the losing of lives specifically in Nairobi. This ought not to have taken place. Why? Because the meteorological people came up in good time to tell Nairobians and the Kenyans that there will be a lot of rain. And so everybody should prepare. But what did the governor do? He went to organize an event to go and display. What did they have? They had an agreement with the national government on how they will manage Nairobi together. And they forgot everything about the floods until the floods came and carried properties, carried people, and all that. And that's where I find the William Ruto administration wanting, that they have never aborted anything. They have never acted in good time to be able to arrest a situation. It is always a crisis after crisis, a problem after a problem. And then, of course, promise after promise, promise after promise. Kenyans need to see this government differently. And the only way for Kenyans to see this government differently is for this government to change tag and begin to function differently. And so these threats about corruption, we'll deal with the corruption, we'll deal with cartels, we'll deal with this, we'll deal with it. We don't need that. Let's see that dealt with. Let's see that dealt with. Look at the corruption state. Nowadays, you can't get anything from anywhere where government is present without demands for bribes and demands for chai and demands for this. It's now normal. In fact, payments for corruption is now what is legal, and official payments is what is illegal. I really would want that we get a government that is able to address these things and put their plain ground for the Kenyan people to access government services freely and, of course, promptly and securely. But the taking over of, like, the immigration department, pay for this, pay for that in order to get this and all that, that is clear. Everybody knows is taking place. Murkomen knows, the DCI know, Ruto knows, and everybody knows. But what do? They call press conference and begin to talk tough when they know where the problem is. And so, to me, these are jokers. These are jokers. These are not people that can champion a proper governance that is able to safeguard the welfare of Kenyans. And so let's get rid of these jokers and get really important and significant people in significant positions that are going to deliver for the Kenyan people. Let us drain the whole swamp and come up with right leadership, round pegs in round holes, squared pegs in squared holes, and let's see this country take off. But this promising of housing, promising of roads, promising of this and that, it's too much. It is not helping anything. We really need to have a government that serves the interest of the Kenyan people, not comes with goodies to try and blind the Kenyan people into deceiving them to think that there is somebody doing something for them. We don't want anybody to do anything for us. We want a government that we can own as our government, number one. Number two, that government functions in our interest and safeguards our well-being. That is what government is. But this moving around, we have given Nyota Fund, we are now giving Women Empowerment Fund, and now we are giving children's food. All these bribes should be stopped. We just need a functioning government where systems are working. When you go to renew your passport, you get it renewed. When you go to get your birth certificate, you get it. Not this, so I brought you this, I brought you this, I brought you that. It doesn't even sit well with us that somebody's bringing us things. We need to have a government that after we pay the tax, the government functions in our interest, and whatever we need as Kenyans is available. But hii kuja kutusumbua, ulituletea basi, sijui katuletea, sijui hela ya biashara, sijui katuletea nini, sisi hatutaki kuletewa. Weka mazingara ambayo yanafaa, Wakenya wanajua kujitafutia. Weka mazingara ambayo yanafaa ya biashara, mazingara ambayo yanafaa ya usalama, mazingara ambayo yanafaa ya afya. Hiyo ndio kazi yako kama serikali. Lakini ya kutembea na vikapu kila weekend, kutembeza kana kwamba ninyi ndio ashasi wa kuokota sadaka. Komesha ujinga, komesha hii utoto, komesha hii hali ya wewe kufanya serikali kama kiosk. Serikali haiwezi kuwa kiosk. Serikali inapaswa kufunction kwa mikakati ambayo imewekwa, na hizo mikakati inapaswa kuwa transgenerational, ili mtu akiingia katika hiyo ofisi anapata kuna mikakati hii ilikuwa imewekwa na inaendelea. Kwa mfano, Mwai Kibaki alikam up na program ya 2030, Vision 2030. Hiyo ilienda wapi? Sio nafikiria ndio mahala ambapo kila rais anayekuja anapaswa kuwa akijenga ili vision 2030 ikifika tumerealize hii na hii. Lakini unakuja unatupilia mbali vision 2030, unaanzisha bottom up. Alafu sasa saa hii imekuwa Singapore. And I mean, what are we up to? Can't we just settle down and work on a government that is able to feed, take care of the healthcare and educate Kenyans from one successive government to the next successive government? Must we be starting every time? Must every person coming to office come with his own things? Are we not the government of Kenya? And are we not supposed to serve Kenyans? And so we are now working on the UDA manifesto. We are working on Jubilee manifesto. We are working on ODM manifesto. Kenya should be independent of all these political parties. And nobody should come in office to do anything he has brought. There should be what needs to be done. What is the state of our healthcare? What is the state of our education? What is the state of our food security? That's what you need to be consumed with. Not for you to be bringing us this and distributing this and distributing. And this culture of handouts needs to be killed in this country. And so, those sponsoring goons and all manner of wreaking havoc against the livelihood of Kenyans, let that come to an end. We need a safe and secure country. And if that is a strategy to secure somebody a second term in office, I think that strategy has failed. Kenyans know better. And of course, I will still insist Kenyans deserve better. Well, thank you so much for being part of this great conversation on Sound Candy Talk. Like I said, we are having some hiccups. I'm not and Undumani inaonekana hawajaipata, lakini nashukuru kwa yale ambayo tumezungumzia leo. Naamini kwamba umejifunza jambo moja au lingine, lakini kwangu mimi ni kuhimiza tu, wajibika kama Mkenya. Wajibika kama Mkenya. Wacha kubali kubebwa kama mjinga, usikubali kubebwa ujinga. Simama kama Mkenya, hakikisha kwamba haki ya kila Mkenya hiyo ndio inakusukuma. Hii masuala ya kutumia siasa kujinufaisha ikomeshwe. Na nashukuru kwamba watu wengi wameanza kujitokeza na kusema kwamba imetosha. Na hiyo imetosha inapaswa kuwa ndio ngoma inachezwa kila sehemu. Tusikubali uongozi mbaya, kwa sababu uongozi mbaya ndio unaosababisha mabaya mengi miongoni mwetu na katika nchi yetu. Kwa hivyo tukatae viongozi ambao hawafai, tusimame kinyume na wote ambao hawasaidii nchi hii, ili tutafute viongozi ambao wanafaa na wale ambao watachangia mafanikio na of course kuendeleza wingi wa maendeleo ya nchi yetu. Ningependa tukomee hapo na tukutane tena tutakapokutana katika kipindi kitakachofuata. Kama hujasubscribe kwa Sound Candy Talk, tafadhali fanya hivyo. Kama hujatufollow, tunaitwa tu Sound Candy Talk kila mahali. YouTube Sound Candy Talk, Sound Candy Talk Live, Facebook Sound Candy Talk, TikTok Sound Candy Talk, and then of course tunafanya vipindi tofauti, sio hiki tu. Kuna vipindi tofauti mchana yote tunawaletea live updates katika mikutano tofauti ambayo inafanywa na viongozi wa taifa na wa kimataifa. Kwa hivyo ukiwa subscriber wa Sound Candy Talk hautapitwa na lolote la muhimu. Lakini tungependa pia kuwashukuru wote ambao mnatusupport ili tuendeleze kipindi hiki na vingine ambavyo tunavipeperusha mchana kutwa. Tunaomba tu tafadhali tuendelee kuombeana na tuhakikishe kwamba hii nchi tunaikomboa kabisa kabisa. Hakuna haja tuwe na nchi ambayo tunakaa kama wageni ama inakaa kana kwamba sisi ni squatters na wao wanasiasa ndio wenye nchi. Hapana, sisi wenye nchi kama wananchi tusimame imara, tukomboe nchi yetu kabisa kabisa, na wale watu ambao wafai katika uongozi wakataliwe katika level zote: MCAs, governors, senators, members of parliament, women rep and president. Kama mtu hafai na akataliwe kabisa kabisa. Tuache kuinsist kwamba ni kabila hii, si kabila hii, ni kabila hii, sio kabila hii. Hatutaki ukabila na hatutaki kabila. Tunahitaji mtu ambaye anafaa kuongoza nchi hii, ambaye atashughulikia kila maslahi ya kila Mkenya. Kama vile nimesema, mimi ni mhubiri, nimetembea katika nchi hii. Kuna umaskini Central Kenya, kuna umaskini Rift Valley, kuna umaskini wa kupindukiwa Northeastern, kuna umaskini wa kupindukiwa Coast Province, sehemu za Kwale huko ndani. Yani kuna mambo ambayo yanavunja moyo kabisa kabisa. So hii masuala ya kupatia uongozi kwa kabila ndio imechangia mambo haya yote. Okay? Kama unasema kwamba kabila lenu likiwa rais mtafanikiwa, basi uliza watu wa Central, uliza watu wa Baringo, mbona maisha yao kubadilika? Mbona bado kuna squatters? Mbona bado kuna umaskini wa kupindukia? Kwa hivyo nchi hii inahitaji uongozi ambao utajali maslahi ya kila mmoja, sio uongozi ambao utalinda maslahi ya jamii ama maslahi ya kabila. Tunahitaji uongozi ambao utashughulikia kila Mkenya, irrespective of where they come from, irrespective of who is president. We need a president for Kenya, not a president for kabila or one tribe or the other. Like I said, thank you so much. I look forward to meeting you again in the next program. Please let me know that you are finding us loud and clear. And then, of course, I also want to urge you, if you're getting us, especially those of you in the diaspora, I have several titles that I have written and are all on Amazon. And I want you, if you can purchase, you're okay. But before you purchase, I would want you to rate my books. If you check in the description of the video, especially on Facebook and on YouTube, you will see a list of some of my books. I just want you to rate them on Amazon by, giving them a thumbs up or some star vote, so that they can be visible and the relevant people can find them and, of course, get copies. They are very, very vital, of course, Christian books that are very, very important. The latest is Christianity Without Christ. Very, very, very damning a reality of our time and age that we all need to take care of. And then, of course, there is another one called the Peacemaker's Blueprint. Those of you in conflict and you want to be part of the solution of conflict at home, at work, and elsewhere, that book is important. The Peacemaker's Blueprint. It's available in the whatever description of this video, and I'll call your attention to the same. And before you even purchase it on Amazon, please rate it and let us appreciate the good work. I would also want to mention that you can sample any of those books on Amazon for free. Yes, well, there is an avenue for you to check the book. You can even read it on Amazon for free. All you need to do is just create an account on Amazon, and they will give you access to the book. You read, you test, and see if it is viable. Is when you buy and add to your library. And then, of course, it's available as an ebook as well as a hard copy. And then, of course, there's what they're calling paperback and then the hardcover. So whichever you want, you will be able to get those particular items. I look forward to meeting you again. Thank you so much for being part of the conversation. Thank you, TikTok family. Thank you for those likes. Thank you for following the show. I want to say bye and look forward to meeting you in the next program. God bless you. Tukutane tutakapokutana. Mungu akabariki.